Hi there everyone, Thomas here. Today I'm going to show you how to do a oil change on a IVECO Daily. This is a 2.3 litre version. So I'm just going to show you the basic things that you need. There's not many videos on it, although it's a pretty simple process. A lot of them are on the older version, which is again very similar. But I just wanted to go over this with you. So this is an 07 plate IVECO. What you're going to need is about 5.5 litres of oil. So you've got a 4 litre plus another 2 1 litres, so 6 litres total. So I'll have half a litre left, just for top ups and general use. But I also use this engine flush. It's a really good bit of kit for cleaning the engine components out. If I was to do an oil change without this, the oil will come out pretty normal, but there'll be a lot left behind. And when you use this, the oil will come out in, it'll slow the pace out because it's drawing all, you'll literally see all the dirt just dropping out in big like sludge balls. I say this is my second oil change now since owning the van, so I've flushed it before. I'm going to give it another flush again now. It's been about another 12,000 miles since its last oil change, and this oil in this engine is just, it's took me all four corners of the country, so it's definitely due a change. And again, I've been using this Castrol stuff for all of my diesel vehicles for the last sort of 3 years, and it's done me absolutely fine. It's really well priced. Best place to get it is eBay. It's delivered straight to the door, about £24 for 4 litres. Then when you buy your plus litres, you're going to be paying a bit more, about £10 a litre. So if you want to, you could buy 2 4 litres, so that'd be 8 litres total, and it just works out a bit more cost effective for you long term. So what else you're going to need is a oil filter removal tool. There's a few quid. You can get rubber ones these days, or metal ones. If you don't have an oil filter removal tool, it's a bit of an odd one, but you can actually use an old belt. Basically, you put the belt around the oil filter, and you basically just pull it tight, and with enough leverage, you'll be able to crack the initial pressure off and take it off your hands. And then you also got the oil filter removal tools, which are like the circle caps, and they go onto your ratchet. So there's 3 options there really. I always prefer this. It's just, it fit every single oil filter, and it's absolutely fine. And again, you're going to need your oil filter, so I always go for the larger size ones, just because personally I believe you're going to get just more cleaning out of it. They do some really like short half caps, which are pretty much the common ones, but this is kind of what I prefer for my vehicles, nice big ones. Of course, you're going to want a drain bowl as well. My plan out of this is to get all that oil in the engine, obviously get the old oil in there, and then I transfer it into these oil barrels, and then back into the oil tanks, and then dispose of the oil properly at a local dealership or garage. Ask them to take it in. 9 times out of 10 they just do it for you. Please don't pour it down or throw it down the drain. It's just not great. Just be responsible with it. So yeah, let's get started. So because we're doing an oil flush, the van's been run this morning for a good few miles. So I'm just going to start it up. It's showing it's down cold at the moment, which it will be, but there is still a lot of heat in that engine. So what I'm going to do is pop the hood. Yeah, so I want to pop the hood, and I want to take this oil cap off. It's going to be a right job, that is. There we go. Nice and easy. To be fair, gloves are probably a good move. It's a right dirty job. So remove the oil cap off. Next thing we're going to want to do is crack open this engine flush. Crack that open. Pull the cap. And we just want to pour it into the top here. pouring it in. I'm going to do the full amount. There you go. Just leave that in there for a second. Just to put this full amount in. Perfect. You're going to want to put the cap back on again. Nice and tight. Then you want to start your engine up. You want it to run for about 10 minutes. This way it'll get all around the engine properly. Normally, what I'll do is I'd actually put it in, let it run, get it all around the engine, leave it overnight, come in next morning, let it run up nice and hot, and then do it the next morning, so it's really had time to eat away at everything. As I say, at current, just going to let it run for about 10-20 minutes or so, to make sure it gets all around the engine, has time to really work its magic. Hey, so the engine's been running for about 20 minutes so far, so it's pretty much getting up to this temperature. Good way to know if it's obviously hot is put your hand on the sump underneath the engine. So you'll see under there, you see the sump here? Obviously you want that to be hot. As long as that's hot, it means pretty much the whole engine's hot. That's where the oil's going. So next step would be, that's been sitting for about 20 minutes. I'm just gonna hold this for about 3-4 minutes. It's at a nice high RPM, so we can make sure all the fluid and everything's all running around and doing its job of degreasing the engine. Just give it some nice revs just to work the engine really. So the engine's all hot now, the coolant fluid's all hot, the coolant pipes are all hot. Up on the dash now, we should be nearly, yeah, that's it. So on the IVECO, your coolant's exact when it's at the halfway point. That's where your van will always stay, as I'm sure you're aware if you own one. So you're giving it about 5 minutes of holding it up, giving it revs through half RPM, just make sure it's really pumping through, basically trying to clean all the junk out of that engine and get it all caught up in that old oil filter. So I left it idling now, so I just want to turn the engine off. Now I'm going to let it sit for 5 more minutes, and the reason for this is I want all the oil that's sitting around the engine, I want it all to just slowly work its way down into the sump and start to settle itself. After 5 minutes it should all start to properly settle, then it'll be ready to crack the bolt and basically drain all that dirty oil out. So I say the engine's been sat now for a while. When the engine was warming up I took the opportunity to get a rag on it and just basically just clean all the old debris and dirt off of it. So the engine bay looks a little nicer, it's good use of the time. So the most important tool to make all this work really is going to be this little Allen socket. So this is a 12mm socket. Obviously I've got this on a half drive, so it's up to you what ratchet set you have. You're going to get one for pretty much most sizes. But this is the most important tool. You can't do the oil change without that Allen head. So yeah, this is just a few quid off of Amazon. I'll put a link to it as well. It's nice, simple, easy. Got the tool forever then. So yeah, let's get started. So because that bolt's quite tight up in there, as I say, need a bit more leverage. So I've got this old bicycle seat post basically. Anything with like a long metal tube that you can slide your ratchet in like that, it's going to give you much more leverage to be able to crack that bolt off. Perfect, so I was able to use that tool to crack the bolt off. A good thing to remember is lefty loosey, righty tighty. And now, you see that's nice and loose and ready to drop the oil. So this oil is going to be absolutely red hot because of the time I've left it. It's not been the longest, so I should be able to remove this off by hand and just get it straight dumped basically. Oy. There we go. You see, because that oil's nice and hot, just absolutely flowing out. So we've got the oil filter removal tool up there. It's a bit of an awkward view, but tighten it up, you want to pull it towards yourself, or towards the back of the van. That's basically the left removal. And again, just loosen it up, put it forward, tighten it up, and keep loosening it up. Then, after 2 or 3 turns, you can just pop the filter off the end, and then I'm going to grab a second bucket and then remove that oil filter and let the oil drop down. It's all going to go on the floor on your face. And to make life easier for you in the future, you just want to grab a little bit of dirty oil and just run it just around the O-ring. It's just old practice from time before time. It's just something you always do. So when you've got that oil there, the rubber can't like fuse to the metal as easily. So when you try to crack it off in a year's time or whenever, or however long in the future, that won't pose as much of resistance, and it also helps prevent the rubber from breaking down over time as well. So I'm just going to quickly swap my buckets over because I want to fish out. In here, I want to fish out. Oh, it's disgusting, is this? Should have called it the first time. Give me a sec. I've got a tool for this. Use your brain. So, if you're unlucky enough to drop your bolt in, which I don't recommend, you can either fish it out by hand, or use a nice little magnet tool. I'm going to let that do the work. Simple, easy, few quid. If all goes to plan, shove this in, run it around, bring out an oil sump bolt. It's nice and easy. Job's done. Give that a clean up, reattach it back in. This is your halfway point now, so don't go ahead without doing this. Make sure you put your sump bolt back in. You don't want to put your oil filter back in, start adding your oil, and it all comes out the bottom. So make sure this is in. Perfect, so I've done my sump bolt up by hand tight. And now I just want to gently, not too much pressure, literally just nick it up. And that's done now. Sump bolt's in, ready to attach the filter from above. This next piece was super simple. Just had to come in from below and basically fit that oil filter in. So it's really simple. Come in underneath, use both hands, don't force it because you've got the thread. Spin it towards the van, towards the front of it. Let it slowly go on, and you only want to do it hand tight. So you want to do it up as tight as you can with both hands, and that's the tension you want to go to. You don't tighten these up because they can strip the thread or get properly sealed on there. So just really nice tight hand tight. And then grab your oil filter tool and literally do it less than a quarter turn, so about 10 degrees, really small. Next step's pretty self-explanatory. Open up your oil and obviously just pour it into the top. And continue that. So this is 4 litres that I've got. Obviously need 5.5 litres in this engine. And I also took out the dipstick there, and I just gave it a quick clean down, make sure it's all free of any dirty oil. Right, so that's one down. Now it's time to fill up these ones. Perfect, so I filled all the oil up now, so we've done 4 litre, 5 litre, and basically another half a litre. So I can put the cap back on. The dipstick's pretty useless on that, to be fair. It always, even just with 4 or 5 litres in there, it shows as being over. But these are 5.5 to 7 litres. So boot it up. And the engine do a basic prime. We can start her up. quieter. That sounds much quieter than what it did before. So let it run through a minute or two, and basically just check for any leaks, which there's not going to be, and yeah, I'd be more than happy with that. I'll let it all run through, let it run for 10 minutes and just clean itself up. So yeah, as I say, it's a bit of a messy job, as you can see, but the more prepared you are for it, the better. Obviously I've used a catch tray there. You can use cardboard or anything that you like. That's pretty good. And yeah, just got to dispose of my oil back into my canisters. And be ready to throw it away, basically. Get it disposed of correctly. Yeah, that's a full oil change, and it's ready to be done in 10,000 more miles time. So thanks a lot for watching. If you could leave a like and a subscribe, that'd be fantastic. I hope to give you some more information, or more videos in the future. And as I say, the key parts to remember on that is obviously sump bolt as your halfway point. Do your oil filter up hand tight, and of course you're going to need that 12mm Allen bolt to get that sump off. So they're kind of the main things really. So yeah, I hope this helps and was informative.